Hey NFL fans, before we dive into today's hottest stories, make sure to hit that subscribe button and ring the bell so you never miss an update. From NFL news now, the Indianapolis Colts are finally getting some much-needed good news as they prepare for the second half of the season, with both cornerback Charvarius Ward Sr. and linebacker Jalen Carley's officially cleared to return from injured reserve. Head coach Shane Steichen confirmed that the practice windows for both players are now open, signaling the start of a 21-day period during which the team can decide whether to activate them for upcoming games or continue giving them time to recover. On paper, this may seem like a procedural move, but in reality, for a Colts squad navigating a punishing stretch of the schedule, it represents a seismic shift in their defensive outlook. The return of Ward and Carley's doesn't just add bodies, it adds quality, stability, and, perhaps most importantly, confidence to a team that has struggled to find consistency on the defensive side of the ball all season long. Charvarius Ward's return is particularly significant given how dominant he looked before his unfortunate injury. Ward's time on the field was limited to just 4 games this season due to a fluke warm-up incident, but during those appearances, he was arguably playing at an elite level across 120 coverage snaps. He recorded 3 pass deflections, allowed only 67 receiving yards, and held opponents to a passer rating of 71.6 when targeting his assignments, even with the limited sample size. His performance was enough to place him as the 3rd highest graded cornerback in the league, according to PFF, with an 83.0 coverage grade. That's the kind of impact that can transform a secondary from vulnerable to formidable, and the Colts desperately need it as they face one of the league's most prolific offenses, with Patrick Mahomes and the Kansas City Chiefs coming to Indianapolis in Week 12. Having Ward back in the lineup could be the difference between a competitive showing and getting steamrolled. Mahomes has thrown for over 800 yards in his last 3 games alone, and the Colts secondary will need all the help it can get to slow him down. Ward isn't just a returning player. He's potentially a game changer who can give Indianapolis a fighting chance against the league's elite quarterbacks. Jalen Carley's return is equally noteworthy, albeit in a different way. The linebacker suffered an ankle injury during the preseason opener, after already missing 7 games in his rookie season due to a broken fibula. For a young player showing flashes of promise, these setbacks could have derailed his development. But Carley's return signals a chance to finally make a mark. The Colts linebacker corps has been a glaring weakness all season, ranking near the bottom of the league in nearly every meaningful defensive metric. Their rush defense sits 22nd with a 60.5 grade. And outside of Segan Olubi, who is graded at just 64.4, the position group has struggled mightily. Jermaine Pratt, Austin Ajik, and Zaire Franklin, the players logging the most snaps, carry PFF grades of 57.5, 45.0, and 43.0. Respectively. Those numbers underscore just how dire the situation has been, leaving the team lacking in tackles, sacks, turnovers, and overall presence. Carley's return provides not just depth, but also a potential uplift in performance that the Colts have been desperately seeking. When you combine the returns of Ward and Carley's, the implications extend far beyond just filling roster spots. This is about fundamentally altering the makeup of a defense that has been stretched thin, overextended, and at times overmatched. Ward solidifies a secondary that can no longer afford to give up easy completions, while Carley strengthens a linebacker room that has consistently struggled to generate pressure or stop the run. With the AFC playoff picture already crowded, these returns couldn't come at a more crucial time. Every game from here on out carries significant playoff ramifications, and getting key contributors back healthy and ready to perform is the first step toward staying relevant in a fiercely competitive conference. The Colts are a team fighting to remain in contention, and Ward and Carley's provide the type of midseason reinforcement that can turn a unit from mediocre to threatening. The impact of Ward and Carley's isn't just about numbers on a stat sheet. It's about how their presence can shift the mentality of the entire defense. Ward's ability to lock down receivers changes how the secondary can approach coverage, potentially allowing safeties and other corners to take more calculated risks without the fear of leaving a receiver wide open. Meanwhile, Carley's versatility and athleticism can help shore up a linebacker unit that has struggled to contain the run, while also giving the Colts more options in pass rush and coverage schemes. This kind of infusion of talent is exactly what midseason teams crave when the schedule gets tough and injuries start to pile up. The timing couldn't be better. with matchups against top-tier offenses looming, because the Colts can no longer afford to limp into critical games, relying on depleted defensive units. The narrative surrounding the Colts this season has often focused on missed opportunities and what-ifs. But the potential return of these to key players injects a sense of optimism and urgency into a team that has battled through inconsistency. Ward's pre-injury performance suggests that he can immediately step in and make an impact, while Carley's offers the possibility of stabilizing the linebacker room and contributing to a more well-rounded defensive effort. In a league where every game matters and the margin for error is slim, the return of Ward and Carley's gives Indianapolis a fighting chance to turn the tide. Their presence doesn't just fill holes, it can redefine how the Colts defend, how they plan against elite offenses, and how they approach each down from here on out. As the Colts prepare to face the Chiefs in Arrowhead Stadium, the stakes couldn't be higher. Mahomes is playing at an otherworldly level, and any lapse in coverage or linebacker play could be fatal. Ward's ability to cover top receivers and Carley's potential to disrupt plays at the line of scrimmage represent exactly the kind of upgrades a team in the middle of the playoff hunt needs. The 21-day practice window is now open, and fans and coaches alike are watching closely to see if both players can fully regain their pre-injury form. If they do, the Colts not only improve their chances in individual games, they send a message to the rest of the league that they're not going quietly, that they can compete with elite teams, and that they have the pieces to push for a postseason spot. It's worth emphasizing that these returns are more than just roster moves. They are strategic turning points. The Colts' defense has been a liability for much of the season, and while injuries are always a factor, the lack of depth and performance at key positions has been glaring. With Ward and Carley's back, the team can finally address two of its most pressing weaknesses, potentially altering the outcome of critical games down the stretch. Whether it's through Ward's lockdown coverage or Carley's tackling and coverage skills, the overall defensive dynamic is poised for a meaningful shift for a team like Indianapolis, which has flirted with mediocrity and battled through challenges. This is the kind of boost that can reignite playoff hopes. In the bigger picture, the Colts' mid-season reinforcements are a reminder that health matters as much as talent in the NFL. Teams that can navigate injuries and get key contributors back into action often find themselves in playoff contention despite earlier setbacks. Ward and Carley's exemplify this principle perfectly, to players whose abilities and potential impact are undeniable, returning at a time when the team most needs them. Their comeback provides not just statistical improvement, but also morale, leadership, and the kind of intangible energy that can galvanize a locker room. For fans, the anticipation is palpable, and for the Colts, the countdown has begun. These returns could very well define the remainder of the season and determine whether Indianapolis can keep pace in a competitive AFC. The combination of Ward's elite cornerback play and Carley's versatile linebacker skill set represents precisely the kind of mid-season upgrade that can elevate a defense from merely functional to genuinely competitive. The stakes are enormous, the schedule is punishing, and the margin for error is razor-thin. Every practice, every snap, and every matchup from this point forward will be influenced by whether these two players can return to form. If they succeed, the Colts' defensive woes could shift from a chronic liability to a strength that allows them to compete with top-tier opponents and remain relevant in the playoff race. In essence, this isn't just about filling roster spots, it's about altering the trajectory of a season, redefining the defense, and giving Indianapolis a legitimate chance to prove that they belong in the postseason conversation. The NFL is a league of momentum and opportunity, and the Colts' window to capitalize on both has just opened wider. Ward and Carley's return represents not just hope, but actionable, tangible reinforcement that could translate into wins, stops, and turnovers at precisely the moments that matter most. This is the exact kind of narrative mid-season that energizes fans, challenges opponents, and reshapes expectations. The Colts now have the chance to pivot, to protect their playoff aspiration, and to finally see what a healthier, more complete defense can accomplish. Ward and Carley's are back, and with them comes the promise of a team that can compete, a defense that can intimidate, and a season that is far from over. If Indianapolis can integrate these two talents effectively, it could mark the turning point of their season. The return of Ward and Carley's is more than just a procedural update. It's a potential lifeline for a defense that has been stretched to its limits. Every coverage, every tackle, and every defensive adjustment will now carry a renewed sense of possibility as the Colts march Toward the crucial second half of the season, the narrative is clear. Health, talent, and timing have converged, and if leveraged correctly, the impact could be monumental. The team's playoff fate may very well hinge on how well Ward and Carles reintegrate and perform, making this one of the most pivotal developments in Indianapolis football this year. Keep watching as we analyze more details about some rumors. Big news is starting to ripple through the NFL world. And if you're a Colts fan or even just someone who keeps a close eye on league drama, you're going to want to buckle up, because today feels like one of those days that could reshape the conversation around a franchise. Almost overnight, word on the street. And I do mean word on the street with multiple sources hinting at it behind closed doors. Is that Daniel Jones? The quarterback that many Colts fans hoped would anchor the offense for years to come is apparently on his way out of Indianapolis. Yes, you heard that right. Daniel Jones. The player who was supposed to be a stabilizing force, a steady presence under center, is reportedly heading out, and while there's no official confirmation yet, the rumblings are loud enough that the speculation is practically impossible to ignore. The energy around Lucas Oil Stadium today, if reports are accurate, is electric, tense, and a little chaotic. Because whenever a starting quarterback exits a team, especially one that had so many eyes on it for this season, it triggers a whirlwind of questions, conjectures, and yes, fan frustration. Now, if you start to dig into the why, things get even murkier, because sources close to the team are suggesting that this isn't just about on-field performance. Though naturally that's going to be part of the conversation, there are hints that internal dynamics may have been a factor, that perhaps the fit wasn't quite what the organization envisioned. When they made the move to bring Jones to Indianapolis, the whispers suggest that there's a mixture of strategy and personality at play, maybe some locker room tension, maybe some misalignment with the coaching staff's vision for the offense, but what's clear is that this isn't coming from nowhere. People close to the team reportedly noticed changes in practice routines, in how play calls were adjusted, in subtle shifts in leadership responsibilities, all of which, in hindsight, are now being read as signs that Jones's time in Indianapolis was under more scrutiny than many fans realized. And then, of course, there's the fan reaction. Social media is already buzzing with speculation and heated debates. Some are mourning the departure of a quarterback who was still carving out his identity in the league, someone who showed flashes of brilliance and a playmaking ability that could electrify a stadium. Others are saying maybe this is the move the Colts needed, a way to reset expectations and possibly pivot to a different defensive approach that could suit the roster better. It's that classic split between hope and frustration that you see whenever a team makes a bold, unexpected move, and it's intensified by the fact that the Colts, historically, have been in the mix for the playoffs more often than not, but have struggled to maintain consistency at quarterback, a position that can make or break an entire season. Sources close to NFL insiders are suggesting that talks have been ongoing for weeks, not just in terms of player performance, but also about long-term vision. There's chatter that front office executives have been evaluating their quarterback situation more critically than publicly acknowledged, and while the team hasn't issued an official statement, insiders suggest that the decision to move on from Jones wasn't taken lightly. It's painted as a combination of necessity and strategy, a recognition that if you want to compete at the highest level in the AFC, sometimes tough choices have to be made, even when they involve a player who came with expectations of stability and leadership. What makes this story even juicier for fans and media alike is the timing. There's always something magnetic about a quarterback shakeup. It instantly generates trade rumors, speculative drafts, and endless debate about who could step into that role, whether it's an established veteran, a promising young talent, or a completely unexpected move that would shock the league. Now, if you're looking at the ripple effect, it doesn't stop with Daniel Jones leaving. The conversation instantly shifts to the roster as a whole, the offensive line, the receiving cores, the running game, all elements that could either thrive under a new quarterback or face additional growing pains depending on the next move. The coaching staff is reportedly in high-level discussions about next steps, and sources close to the organization are hinting at a variety of possible directions, ranging from internal promotion to outside acquisition. And as with any big shakeup, the ripple extends beyond just X's and O's. It touches team morale, fan engagement, media coverage, and even ticket sales. When a franchise quarterback or high-profile player exits, the atmosphere around the stadium changes, sometimes overnight. People pay attention Rumors gain weight, social media explodes. And let's be real, the Colts have a passionate fan base, so every theory, every what if, every speculation about who might step up next is being dissected with surgical precision across message boards, Twitter threads, and YouTube comment sections. Of course, the league itself is watching closely. Other teams in the AFC are likely analyzing this move through a lens of opportunity. A quarterback in transition can change competitive dynamics instantly, and while no official trades have been reported, insiders hint at several franchises that could be circling, seeing potential openings in their own lineups that could intersect with Indianapolis's shifting strategy. There's also the contract angle to consider. Daniel Jones isn't just any player, he's a player with expectations, a contract, and a potential value that other teams might find intriguing. The combination of performance, potential, and timing could make him a highly sought-after piece for teams looking to shake things up mid-season or position themselves for a longer-term plan. In other words, the domino effect is just beginning, and by the time this story fully unfolds, we could see a series of moves, trades, and surprises that nobody predicted just a few weeks ago. Meanwhile, you can imagine the locker room dynamic. There's been talk from sources that Jones had a unique approach to leadership, one that sometimes aligned with teammates and sometimes caused friction. That's not unusual. Quarterbacks often carry a unique weight on their shoulders, but when the chemistry isn't exactly clicking the way management envisioned, it can accelerate decisions like this. The coaching staff, the front office, and even veteran players are reportedly navigating a delicate balance, trying to maintain morale while also preparing for what comes next. Rumor has it there's a sense of urgency within the organization to move quickly to stabilize the quarterback position before the domino effect reaches other areas, because once uncertainty creeps in at such a critical position, it can reverberate across the entire team. Players, staff, and fans alike are now left waiting, speculating, and imagining the possibilities. And let me tell you, the chatter is intense. The energy in Indianapolis, if reports are accurate, is a mix of disbelief, anticipation, and a tinge of hope, because even in chaos, fans want to believe in the next chapter. The media coverage is another story entirely. Rumors are swirling like leaves in a storm, and reporters are piecing together snippets of practice observations, cryptic statements from staff, and subtle hints from insiders, trying to build a coherent narrative. Some stories paint Jones as a victim of circumstance, while others imply a strategic pivot by the organization aimed at long-term success. Either way, the buzz is undeniable. Podcasts are dissecting potential landing spots. Analysts are debating trade value. Social media is alive with speculation about potential quarterbacks who might fill the void, from rising stars to veterans looking for a fresh start. Every theory is being tested against limited information, and every fan has their own idea of what the Colts should do next. This is exactly the kind of day that makes NFL coverage so thrilling. The rumor mill spins, the possibilities feel endless, and no one really knows the next twist until it happens. And the Colts, intentionally or not, have made sure they are at the center of that whirlwind. In terms of legacy, it's hard to overstate how significant this could be. Daniel Jones's tenure with the Colts, however long or short it ends up being, will be dissected in articles, highlight reels, and conversations for years. Did he have enough time to develop? Was the system the right one? Could different coaching decisions have changed the outcome? These are the kinds of questions that fans and analysts alike are already pondering, and the answers will slowly crystallize as the team moves forward. The ripple effect doesn't stop at Indianapolis either. Every AFC contender is now considering the implications. Every draft analyst is rethinking their projections, and every fantasy football manager is eyeing the potential shakeups in a season that was already loaded with surprises. And honestly, the fact that we're even having this conversation underscores the high-stakes nature of the NFL, where a single decision, especially one involving a quarterback, can have league-wide consequences that stretch far beyond one stadium. So, while nothing is officially confirmed, the rumor mill is heating up to a point where it's hard to imagine it cooling down anytime soon. Colts fans are on edge, league insiders are whispering, analysts are theorizing, and the entire football world is watching to see what happens next. Will this move redefine Indianapolis' season? Will Daniel Jones land somewhere unexpected and reignite his career? Are we witnessing the start of a bold, strategic pivot by the Colts? Or is this just another chapter in the ongoing saga of quarterback uncertainty? that has haunted so many franchises over the years. The intrigue, the speculation, the sheer drama is exactly what makes following NFL news so compelling. One thing is certain, this is a story that's far from over. The ripples of today's developments will be felt for weeks, if not months, and whether you're a die-hard Colts fan or just a lover of football drama, this is one of those moments that reminds you why you love the game in the first place. So strap in, because the Daniel Jones situation in Indianapolis is the kind of story that feeds the rumor mill, fuels the debates, and keeps everyone guessing right up until the next big twist unfolds. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to like this video and share it with your fellow NFL fans. Stay tuned for more updates, only here on NFL News Now.